I'm honored and privileged to rise in this House for my first time to speak and to represent the great people of Edmonton West. Mr. Speaker, the last election was a long and spirited one with a tremendous slate of candidates in Edmonton West. Each candidate gave it the role and worked tirelessly to meet constituents and to understand their concerns. I'd like to congratulate both Heather McKenzie and Karen Leibovici on their campaigns, and on behalf of the constituents of Edmonton West, I would also like to thank them for putting their names forward for democracy. I'd like to take this time as well to thank my dedicated team of hardworking volunteers. Throughout the winter, spring, summer, and fall, from -35 to +35, they joined me in going door to door in communities throughout the riding, speaking to constituents and building relationships. And speaking of relationships, I'd like to give thanks to my loving wife, Sasha, and my two amazing sons, Jensen and Parker. Their love and support guided me throughout this amazing journey. Without them, I would not be standing here today. I give a special thanks to my son Jensen, who at just 16 years of age knocked over 3,000 doors by himself, often educating people of the benefits of Adam Smith's invisible hand for the economy. You know, Mr. Speaker, they say that our role models are the ones that shape us. They help us become the people that we are, and I'm one of the lucky few that have been able to meet with their role model and develop a friendship with them. That role model is a former member of this House and a former colleague for many of us sitting here. That role model is none other than Laurie Hahn. As a member of Parliament for Edmonton Centre, part of which became Edmonton West with the boundary redrawing, Mr. Hahn selflessly worked for the constituents that he served. He never took them for granted and always went the extra mile to accommodate their needs and wants. If there's one thing that Mr. Hahn taught me, it was this, that regardless of your political stripes, you must always remember that job as a member of Parliament is to serve the constituents. It's not about political bickering, but about providing your constituents with the service that they deserve. For the role of MP, there's no better moral compass than Laurie Hahn. If you find yourself saying, we checked with the Conflict and Ethics Commissioner and they said it was okay, then you probably know it's not okay. I always say WWLD, what would Laurie do? Mr. Speaker, that is what I aim to do as a newly elected member of Parliament. I plan on serving the great people of Edmonton West because after all, this is a public service is what we're expected to do. I'm also fortunate to have inherited part of the riding of Edmonton Spruce Grove, served so ably by a mentor to myself and so many Conservatives both inside and outside this House, the Honourable Leader of our opposition. The riding of Edmonton West is also famous for two great wonders of the world, West Edmonton Mall and my dear friend Ted Byfield, godfather of the Conservative movement in Canada. I'm proud to represent both. Upon assuming the position of the MP for Edmonton West, I took a look back at the history of this great riding. The individuals who represented Edmonton West have always put the public before themselves. The Honourable Lieutenant Colonel Marcel Lambert, for example, served the constituents of Edmonton West with dignity and with respect. Serving as a Conservative in this House for 27 years, including time as Speaker of the House, Mr. Lambert understood the importance of public service and never shied away from hard work. As his title notes, not only was he honourable in his capacity in this House, but also honourable and dedicated in serving his country on the battlefield. Mr. Lambert served as a tank commander in the 14th Armoured Regiment, the Calgary Regiment, during World War II, seeing action on the beaches of Dieppe, where he was captured, spending the next 3 years of his life as a prisoner of war. Mr. Lambert is an inspiration to myself, and I proudly follow in his footsteps as serving the constituents of Edmonton West. And Mr. Speaker, if I may suggest you follow your predecessor, Lieutenant Colonel Lambert's lead, and maybe get a tank of your own to help with folks in this House. Mr. Speaker, I'm truly humbled to serve the great people of Edmonton West in the capacity as their Member of Parliament. They're a hardworking and entrepreneurial group of Canadians who from a diverse field of professional backgrounds. Not only do they come from different industries, they come from many different regions of the country and the world. Edmonton West boasts not only West Edmonton Mall, but also a thriving tourism sector with many great hotels, restaurants, and attractions, and including the best part of the Edmonton River Valley, the largest urban park in Canada. It's home to Finning Canada and many companies, big and small, that are leaders in the energy services industry. It's home to some of the hardest working people and entrepreneurs in Canada, giving it one of the highest average incomes in the country and allowing it to be the fastest growing city year after year. It's home to a diverse group of places of worship, including Edmonton's largest synagogue, where Rabbi Daniel Friedman, a personal friend, is one of the leaders of Canada's National Holocaust Memorial, hails. We have a large mosque and many churches of Christian faith, including my own, the Annunciation Catholic Church. I'm proud to have friends at many of these, and equally proud of the interfaith work they do together for the betterment of Edmontonians. And that is the beauty of Edmonton and Alberta. Canadians from coast to coast to coast look to it as a beacon of hope in the land of opportunity. Opportunity, Mr. Speaker, is a word I'd like to focus on. What exactly does opportunity mean? To me, opportunity means having the availability and the freedom to accomplish all that you have ever dreamed of. It means of having options available to you to succeed. Opportunity means having a good paying job, economic stability, and the hope that tomorrow will always bring better things. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, the speech from the throne from this newly minted government lacks in opportunity. At a time when the world economy is fragile, families are struggling, this government appears to have its priorities not on jobs and the economy, but on rhetoric and legalization of marijuana. The energy sector has been the greatest source of wealth creation across Canada, and yet does not merit a mention in the throne speech. It's the largest employer of First Nations people in Canada, and yet does not merit a mention in the throne speech. It's Canada's biggest export to the world's markets, and yet you're sensing a trend, I'm sure, it does not merit a mention in the throne speech. And yet, Mr. Speaker, marijuana does. Now, I know pot has been a focus for the Liberal Party both during the election and beforehand, but it should not be the focus of the government's agenda. The throne speech offers empty platitudes, not opportunity for Canada. Government agenda is a stark contrast to the one implemented by the Conservatives. Under our leadership, Canada had opportunity. As a nation, we saw massive growth in our output. We saw a strengthening of our middle class, achieving distinction of being the world's richest middle class. We saw record gains in national production of goods and services produced for international markets, something that's key in today's world economy. We saw a number of historic free trade agreements. All these things accomplished under our time in government provide Canada and Canadians with opportunity. That now has been snatched away by the Liberal government. One indicator of the unfortunate turn of events can be seen in our own economic outlook. We left the government with a $1.9 billion surplus in October, $600 million in October alone. Now we're looking at $3 billion deficit. Another alarming note in regards to opportunities can be seen in my own province of Alberta. We used to have a we can make it happen attitude. Now we lack optimism with opportunities seeping out. Under this government, the energy sector, the single largest job creating sector for the province of Alberta, is looking elsewhere for opportunity. Because of the position this government is taking, companies are feeling less confident in the future in Alberta. With vague language like new environmental assessment processes, companies are thinking twice about investing in Canada. Opposition to pipelines like Energy East means the days of thriving energy sector are numbered. Investment dollars have fled Alberta alone in the last 6 months, dwarf planned infrastructure country or money planned for the entire country. The new government in its throne speech stated that it wants to, and I quote, encourage economic growth, but rather than encouraging such growth, Mr. Speaker, they're doing the opposite. Investment in Canada is falling at a dramatic rate. Investments previously committed to staying in this country are now fleeing our borders. All this to say, Mr. Speaker, there is zero opportunity contained in the speech from the throne. It is with this reasoning that I will not be able to support the speech from the throne. While I'm disappointed, and I'm sure you are as well, with this government's agenda and vision for this country, I know I and members of our party will work with them to get it right, not for the benefit of ourselves, but for the benefit of all Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.